Hey guys, this is Alyse,
And I'm John.
and we are the Heart of Austin Homes.
And today we're going to talk about some market stats, market updates. What is going on out there?
Yeah, definitely. And when we're talking about this, we are talking about the previous month. So because we're in June of 2026,
Hmm.
we're going to be talking about everything that happened in May and how that changed the market. So, I mean, we can start out with the number. I mean, obviously, the number of homes that are available influences everything about the market. And that can be tied to how many homes are going off the market, but it can also be tied to how many sellers are wanting to list at that
It's
time.
kind of like a leaky bucket. You got some people coming in and some coming out. It's a matter of how fast
The
each
leaky
each
bucket.
each one of those are going. Do you remember that from calculus? Anyway, I'm
We
not going to
used
go down that road.
I know, yeah, we're both calculus geeks, so we use a lot of
Yeah, yeah.
bucket
The
metaphors.
leaky bucket metaphor.
So, as of, and we're going to talk about all of Austin, and then we're going to talk specifically about everything over a million luxury market. So, as of May, the end of May 2026, we are at 2,227 homes available, and that's just single family.
Yep.
And that is actually down from the previous month and from the previous year. In other words, there are less homes available, but only by a little bit.
Yeah, so it might mean that maybe the spring season has peaked and like, hey, we're going to be heading into summer and fall. Unless we saw something radically different next month, I think that we're probably we've passed the peak, right?
Yeah. Well, and also, if you think about it, last year around this time, rates were a little bit more brutal, and so it makes a lot more sense that there are more homes that are selling. And actually, getting into that, we're down almost 9% year
Mhm.
over year in number of homes available, but we're down 12.43%, almost 12.5% month over month between April and May.
And that's just total number of homes for sale, right?
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
prices, right?
yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah,
And
inventory is shrinking, which is actually is good. That means that people are buying homes,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, because it's generally good for everyone that there's flow
Yeah.
through the market and
Yep.
not stagnation.
Yep.
And you don't want that to be raging, and you don't want
Yeah.
that to be a little drizzle drip. You want that to be a nice, medium,
Yeah,
happy flow.
it's fun because like remember like now it's actually way less exciting, right? Remember back in like 21 and 22, it was like, oh my God, these like eye-bending numbers every
Yeah,
month. And
yeah.
now it's just like, well, we kind of almost come back to normal.
That was
Almost,
that
right?
was a bit painful on the crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, like getting into the number of sales. So let's see how much of that, slightly smaller bucket is tied to the leak out the bottom versus the drip in the top. And what we're seeing is there were 1,078 homes that sold in the month of May of this year,
Yep.
right? And that is actually up just slightly. Oh, just
Teeny tiny
slightly
bit.
from the previous month and from last year. So some of that dwindling bucket quantity is due to what's coming out the bottom. Like we are selling more
Yeah,
homes.
but like the numbers are almost inconsequential. It's 1,034 last month and 1,029 in May of last year. So
I
it's
mean,
effectively kind of flat, right?
true,
I
but
mean,
that's
it's
but that's almost 5% on each side. So I
okay.
mean,
Yeah, it's a percent,
that matters. It
right?
matters.
1 in 100.
It's what I like to say,
Yeah.
what seems to be the case, and
Mhm.
I hesitate to predict this because no one has a crystal ball.
Yeah.
But it does seem like we've reached the bottom of the pricing trough and the slowness of the market, and we're
Hmm.
starting to eke our way back up the other side,
Yeah,
which
well, I
is
mean,
lovely.
it always comes down to like three main things, like interest rates, supply, and jobs, right? Jobs growth. And so right now we're kind of stuck, right? Like we've been between 6 and 6.5% interest rates, and it's just really hard for those to come down. Every time we start to make a little bit of progress, we get the spring surprise. This year it was the Strait of Hormuz getting shut down by a war. Last year it was tariffs, so we just can't catch a break in the spring.
Yeah.
And, given all of the debt policy and what's going on with the Fed, I don't see them realistically being able to lower rates. Like maybe they can do some more
Well, they're
kind of,
trying to fend off inflation at the
yeah,
same
maybe
time,
they can do
right?
some more shadow lending
Yeah.
by letting banks borrow more, but it's not at a lower rate. So I think rates are going to be pretty steady for the foreseeable future. And so the only thing that can really change that is wage growth, right?
Yeah.
And wage growth is just glacial, right? Not glacial. It's like maybe 3 or 4% a year. So like I don't expect any big swings one way or the other. Like things aren't going to drop a bunch because money's not going to get any cheaper. I'm sorry, they're not going to go up a bunch because money's not going to get any cheaper, but they're also not going to drop either because there's not like a ton of supply or, like, hey, there's, houses coming out the wazoo and they're easy to buy, so prices are getting high because people are forced to sell,
Yeah.
right? That's not happening either. People are sitting on a lot of cheap debt or smaller loans, and they're just like everyone's
Yeah,
kind of
the
like,
golden handcuffs of I
mm-hmm,
have a 2% mortgage.
yeah,
I can't move until.
So people who
ever.
really have to move are moving, but it's just kind of normal, right?
Yeah.
I like normal. Normal's good.
Normal is good. Normal is, like I said, we don't want the raging, obnoxious river and we don't
Uh-huh.
want a little trickle. We want a reasonable, happy stream there
Yeah, yeah,
of flow. Okay, so what does that mean for median prices? We tend to focus on the median price
yeah.
because average price can be overly influenced by one humongous sale or something like that.
Or some tiny sales. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the median price is currently sitting at 595 for,
595.
I know.
That's still pretty high,
Yeah.
right?
I
That kind
mean,
of
it's
surprised me.
respectable.
I would think that it would have come down some more, right?
Yeah. Well, and the interesting thing is that's actually up a hint.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So year over year, that's actually up just around a half a percentage point. So that's not much. But month over month, it's up five. So, that tells me that at least things are chugging through at a reasonable rate. Prices are holding steady. Again, if we're talking about the whole trough of the market coming down, and then we're starting to just barely kip back up. That's the feeling I'm getting from these
Yeah,
stats,
I
and
mean,
that's the feeling I'm getting from all of our buyers and sellers on the market.
and it all comes down to that like income to house price ratio, right? So if the median income in Travis County is like a little over 100,000 a year, I think for a household of two, then like that ratio is six, right?
Yeah,
And so things will speed up if it gets down to like 3.5. But I
yeah.
don't see that
Did we
happening.
get to 10 at our peak in Austin?
No, I think when it was in its peak, it was like 600 and the median income was like 80,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it was more like maybe six or seven,
Yeah.
like 7 or 8 maybe. Oh no, I said 6, 7. Um, but
You
like
tell we have children.
I don't think it's ever going to get back down to 3.5 anytime
Yeah.
soon, right?
Yeah.
Like we'd have to have an extraordinary, like we'd have to deleverage a bunch of debt, and
Yep.
housing would have to get a lot cheaper to build and
Yeah.
stuff. Um, so not in Austin, maybe in other metros, but not here. Too much of a premium market.
Definitely. Okay, now let's talk about the luxury market.
Hmm.
We're classifying this in this market as anything over a million.
Yep.
Some people would classify it over one and a half or two, etc. But we're just going to go with a nice, easy
It
1 million.
depends on what luxury means to you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Got to
This
draw
is
that line
this is
somewhere.
a relative thing. There's so
Yep.
many things that are relative about this. Okay, so just looking at it from number of active listings, there are currently 370 homes
Well,
priced over a
in
million.
May, yeah.
Yeah, in the Austin area, and that is down a hint from
Yeah.
last year, and down a hint from, or actually, it's down substantially from last year.
Yeah, well, last year was 385, so 15 less, like hardly moves the needle, right?
Oh gosh, no, I apologize. Down a hint from last year, down a lot from the month
Well, and the month
before.
before was 402, right? So 402 to 370. That's some
Hmm.
pretty good
Yeah,
clip. That's like 8 or 9%.
8.6.
Oh,
Yeah,
look at that, 8 or 9. Got
I
it.
know you did. You
Right.
didn't say 6 or 7 though.
Metric estimation still like for the win. Okay, so yeah, I mean that means like some at the luxury level some stuff is moving, right? It's coming off,
For
right?
sure. And what does that mean as far as actual sales?
Right. Well, the sales numbers, like we had 231 in May, and let's see, and last month we had 240, right? So a little drop, but not much. And
But
then the
last year was only
previous year we had
207.
207, so like it's sped up a bit, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Year over year, that's 11.6% more sales in the
Yeah,
luxury
which
market.
like kind of fits in that whole K-shaped economy thing
Yeah.
that's going on, right? Like if you're in the top band, like they've got more purchasing power, and in the bottom band, they're having a harder time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, and a lot of people who would have purchased maybe a seven, eight, nine hundred
Hmm.
thousand dollar home are going, gosh, with interest rates where they're at, I still want to purchase a home. I still want to have a steady place for my kids to live or to grow equity, and not be paying someone else's mortgage. But I'm going to buy something in the four or five hundreds
Yep.
instead of in the six, seven, eight. So, uh, you know, it's still happening. It's just that people are kind of um, being forced out of that middle ground, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, this is also just is a regular swing in the economies. They always do this. They come back and forth. And so we had that big run up. And so now, we've got, you hear about this tech layoffs and stuff like that, but equities and tech companies are going up. So a lot of those employees are doing really well. I still personally think, it's just my opinion, that this is like any other time that companies have fired and they overfire and then they rehire. And so we're seeing some of that too. Like people are going like, look, it turns out that AI can't replace
Yeah.
everybody all at
Turns
once.
out my employees were doing something
Yep.
useful that AI
And
can't do
so
entirely.
companies always kind of overreact.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they've had some layoffs now, but give it a year or two, and I think that they're probably going to end up hiring
Well, and
back,
this
right?
is not to deny the huge macro issue that is AI's impact on the job market. Like that's a real thing.
Yeah, but it's so unknown. It's just so much is
But
changing
there's
so
a pendulum
fast.
swing to anything,
Yep.
right? Yeah, no, 100%. Okay, and so let's see. And then as far as the impact that has on pricing, because
Yep.
again, if you have less inventory, in general, prices are going to at least stabilize, if not come up a little bit. And in within the last month, the average uh, luxury sale in Austin was 1.41 million.
Yep.
And
Compared to last month, it was 1.35,
mhm.
and last year 1.382. So still like a little bit,
Yeah,
but
I
not a
it's
ton,
up
right?
2% year over year. It's up 4% month over month, which is
hmm
interesting that there's more impact of the last month between
hmm
April and May than there was between May of this year and May of last year.
Yeah,
Um,
and if you look at like the 5-year trend of both of these buckets, like the median home price is definitely down, but that's from like the 2021, 2022 craze. It
yeah,
totally makes sense.
yeah. Well, and we
It's
know if you look back to our videos from the 2021, 2022 craze, we're
uh,
like, it cannot keep doing
yeah, yeah.
this.
We're like, look, there's gonna be a
This is
backside
unhealthy.
to this roller coaster, and
If
yeah,
you buy now,
here we
please
are.
own it for at least five
Yeah.
years and that sort of thing. So
And the luxury
here we are.
space is doing the same thing, but not as bad. Like it peaked at like 1.6 or 1.7, and now we're at 1.4.
Yeah.
So as a percentage, it's still a little bit flatter. But I think both markets, moving forward, to use a corporatism, are going to stay relatively flat until wage growth catches up, or until we get into an environment where rates could be lower. Which, I mean, I don't think it's going to happen in the short term. So we're going to be around for a bit.
Well, and you should definitely catch our video about the same thing next month so you can check our assumptions and
Yeah,
our
yeah. Hold us accountable, right? See if we're
and our
right.
guesses. Again, we're not a crystal ball. We don't have one, but we try and do our best, and we do keep an eye on all the market factors that we can, and listen to the better think tanks and such on what's going to happen. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening. If you have any questions about what's going on in the market, what's going on in your specific neighborhood, since each neighborhood can be so
They
drastically different,
can, they
right?
can. It
Some
can be the
neighborhoods
difference
are
between
going
something
slow right
sitting for
now.
90 days and actually selling in a week, right?
Well, and I have to say, of all the listings that we've listed this year, we almost every single one has gone in the first week to 10 days.
Yeah.
Um, but there's definitely that is not average in the
Nope,
market.
not all of them do that.
And so it's definitely worth looking into whether or not yours is moving fast or not moving fast or what makes sense. So yeah,
All right, we'll see you next time.
thanks guys.
Bye,
Take
y'all.
care.